This is Dan French here from Guaranteed Rate. I'm also in studio with my co-host, Chakits Krulsawat from Simply Vegas. Chakits, what's happening today, buddy?
I'm doing good. What's up, everybody?
In studio, again, we have the one and only Mr. Brett Jenny.
What's happening?
What's going on, buddy? He's on
much.
Chakits' team, and we're trying to bring a few people on to maybe get some recognition and know who they are, you know?
Yeah. Who is this guy?
Yeah, who is he? Right?
Up and coming for 15 years.
So we talked a little bit last week with Brett on how he got started, and just over a quick, short window of information, why don't you give the audience quickly who you are and how you got to where you're at?
So, Brett Jenny, been a realtor for 15 years, started in Madison, Wisconsin area where I'm from.
Yeah.
For about 4 years, moved out here in January of 2009.
Talking to the mic.
Oh,
man.
sorry. Moved out here January of 2009 into the thick of it all and worked my chops every 7 days a week for the past 15 years.
So you brought him on, obviously, with that experience.
Yeah.
And it's been going very well. And we have a lot of information to talk about, financing and real estate. That's what this show's about. And Chakits always has those details and that good information on what's going on in the housing market. We're also going to talk about VA financing and what is involved with VA financing. So we're going to kind of get into this real quick. You guys have anything going on this last week that maybe you guys want to share with the audience?
Yeah. So I was actually driving down here, and I was talking to Dan, okay? And I could hear in the background, it sounded like he was at the grocery store. And I was like, hey, Dan, can you give me something to drink? Man, I'm thirsty, right? And he was like, I'm not at the store. All I hear is ding, ding, right? Or beep, beep. I'm like, this dude's scanning something. Why would you do that?
How did you know I wasn't at a clothing store? How did you know I was at a grocery store?
I could tell. So I called him out on it. I'm like, dude, stop being cheap. Get me a bottle of water. I'm thirsty.
That checkout lady, she heard I put it on speaker, and I was laughing the whole time because she's like, who is this guy? Then she started getting what was going on.
And I could literally hear you scanning it. Beep. Beep. I'm like, give me something to drink. I ain't at the store. Beep. Beep.
You know what, man? That's what friends do.
Yeah, no.
You just want to see I want to check and see if you're paying attention.
Man, stop being cheap, bro. You ain't Asian.
All right. So, Brad, what's going on, man? What's going on with you? Anything going on this week?
Showing homes today. New homes up in Summerlin.
How'd that go?
Went awesome.
What'd you end up looking at?
Bigsby Creek.
Oh, nice. Woodside Homes, right?
Yeah, Woodside Homes. And then we looked at some Toll Brothers as well.
Cool.
Gotcha.
So,
why don't you speak into the mic?
oh, sorry.
Hey, he needs to turn that mic like this so
There
he can
we
stare
go.
at you.
Yeah.
I'm just going to sit right here in the corner.
No, you can always move the mic. You know that, right?
Yeah, I am. But then I'm at an awkward angle for my body.
Okay. So how was Bixby Creek? I mean, they have some single stories and some two stories out there, right?
They're in the second phase right now, and they're doing a whole collection of just single stories right now. So what's kind of good about them is they do all the single stories in one section versus, like a lot of the other builders.
They kind of
they'll
mix
have
and match
two
it.
stories next to one stories and so forth. So
you know what? They got a floor plan out there on a single story that I really do like. It's a casita, right?
that's the one we saw. That's the one they like.
Yeah, that one's a banger.
That's
right
the one
there.
they're probably going to pull the trigger on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, they better hurry up. They ain't got that many lots out there.
No, they don't. They just go ahead.
How quick are those lots going? I mean, you get somebody out here that's saying, I want to look for a home. I mean, they already wrapped up pretty much by the time that you got to get one built, but you know what I mean?
So this is how it works. Like with the builders, they don't just release let's say if they have 150, they don't release it all at one time.
Yeah.
They'll do probably like 3 or 4 at one time, and what they'll do is they'll get everybody all excited. So it's basically pretty much first come, first serve. And you are going to be paying a lot premium depending on the lot too as well.
How long does that usually take? Obviously, builders are different, but how long is that process?
Well, right now in today's market, I would say about 6 months. But then you have companies like Toll Brothers; they'll have take about anywhere from 8 to 10 months. But then you have companies like Blue Heron could take up to like 12 months to 14 months. But remember, in these contracts, the builders, it states that they have about 24 months to build.
Wow, 24 months. So I see a lot of people. I've had a lot of people in my past. I've been doing this for a little bit of time now, but there's occasions where stuff falls through.
Yeah.
And so that inventory that they had that they thought was going to be sold is now built. And somebody, they can find some type of diamond in the rough there where they don't have to wait that time
A lot of them
period.
now will do quick delivery homes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's basically a spec house. They already have it built ahead of time. So like Bigsby Creek right now, I think they have 6 or 7 of them of the single stories that will be done at the end of May, early June. So the frame's up and all that stuff. So you can still come in, pick out the flooring and cabinets and stuff like that if you want, but the basics of it are already getting going.
Now, for the new listeners, what is a spec home?
So it's basically a house that they build ahead of time.
Okay.
So a lot of the builders found out there's a little niche in the market for a new home. And as Chuckus was saying before, it can take 6 months. It can take 12 months to build a house. Well, what if you want a new house, but you don't have 6 months to wait, you don't have 12 months to wait, or you just simply want one now? What they found is there's a niche in there where if they go ahead and build it ahead of time, they choose the flooring, the cabinets, and all that stuff, but they're choosing it to the generality of what most people are going to probably like. So they're taking a bit of a risk by putting that up ahead of time, but it serves a need.
Yeah, so it's more of a general
It's already
product.
built.
Yeah.
So there's pros and cons to it, right? So
Of course.
if you're looking to move into something quick, right, you don't want to wait 6 months, and that's something that you may want to get into. The downfall is that you're going to probably be paying a price, and you may not get all the options that you want. You may not like the flooring, you may not like the cabinets, but that's something that you may have to make the sacrifice. But sometimes you can find a standing inventory like that where it has everything that you want. Not only that, if it's been sitting on the market for some time, that's where you're going to get your steep discounts on those type of deals.
There's one at Toll Brothers that I showed today.
Yeah.
They actually put a pool in.
Is
ahead
it
of
under
time.
contract?
Nope.
You didn't get under contract? We got to let you go.
Well,
Brett now
that
exited.
easy, huh, Chuckus?
So what happened, man?
So they originally had this at 805, and they just dropped it down to 765, I think. So
Wow.
they just
That's a
dropped
pretty
it
good
40 or
deal.
50 grand. They
Wow.
just dropped it. Already put a pool in, everything.
And this is what, Mesa Ridge, you're saying?
No, Shadow Point.
Shadow Point? Okay, gotcha, got you.
I think it's like 2,300 square feet, single story.
Okay. And Shadow Points is located in Summerlin, West Summerlin, right over there at Stonebridge, yes. So that is the new villa. They have about 650 homes out there, and they're pretty much rock and rolling out there. So
They are.
If I had to pick a location out of all the villas, I think that's one of the first villas that I would actually really take a look at because of the location.
Now, let me say I'm a lender, pluses and minuses. Somebody comes to you and they want to go find a new home. How many builders out there have their own lender?
All of them.
All of them.
Every single one of them.
And
That's
they
a
pretty,
really easy
and they pretty
question.
much own the companies too as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So the percentage is pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
So in some ways, if you have I've been working with clients, it's very hard to really kind of compete with that builder's lender. So I just wanted to see if you guys have a way of like, okay, you know what? This guy's already working with a lender. And if he's working with a lender, do they obviously take over from there? And if, you know what I mean, kind of comparing notes as far as if you already came in with a lender versus not a lender, you know?
Well, the best thing for the buyer in general is to compare rates.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the first thing I tell everybody is lenders try to set it up. So the builder's lender sets it up like this. They basically add on BS to take away BS to make it look like they're saving you money.
Okay. I got you.
Is what they're doing.
Did he just call out the builders?
Oh, well, you know.
Hey guys, if you guys are just tuning in or listening out there live on the radio, if you have any questions regarding real estate or financing, dial 702-257-5396. Or if you are interested in purchasing a home and want to get in the market and start looking at homes, visit lvhomeexperts.com.
So we're talking about VA buyers. We're going to kind of talk about this segment of this topic on this show. So you guys deal with a lot of VA buyers?
Of course, yeah.
Okay.
I love VA buyers. Did you know VA buyers are one of the easiest transactions to do, but a lot of listing agents frown upon that, and also sellers. But the question is why? I think the reason why is because a lot of listing agents, they're afraid because they don't know how to piece that deal together, and they think it's very hard.
That's exactly what it is.
Well, I think that, you know, when you're shopping for the right lender to do VA, it's really just about who's going to give you the best deal, the best rate. VA buyers come in, they're very, most often they're very qualified.
Now, when we say VA buyers, for the new listeners out there, what is VA buyers?
VA buyer is a veteran of military that they've done enough fleet time where they've accomplished where they can pretty much get certificate of eligibility where they're eligible to go buy a home, usually with a discounted, limited. There's no money out of pocket, but there's limited guidelines and things. It's like really a lenient way to get into a loan.
Gotcha, but you have to be in the military or served in the military.
You have to have enough fleet time in the military to make that happen. Absolutely.
Gotcha. So you can't just join today and quit tomorrow.
No, and also you can't be.
I don't think they'll let you do that.
You also have to be honorably discharged, not dishonorably discharged, because when you leave the military, they want you to leave in good standing. So you have to have that eligibility there.
Gotcha. And talking about that, what is the county guidelines?
Well, the county limit, there's still a county limit. There's this whole thing that's going on. It's Blue Water Navy Act that came out, and it's letting some veterans really come in and get a loan all the way up to $1 million.
Really?
And there's no additional, usually there's a 25% overage on county limit of down payment that you have to come in with. So whatever that amount was, you would pay 25% of whatever that is, and then you would come in and do that. Now, if you're full eligibility and you don't currently have a VA loan, and it's not going concurrent from one VA loan to the next VA loan, you can get up to $1 million.
So what you're saying is if I'm VA eligible, which means I can actually qualify based upon the debt to income ratio, I can borrow up to $1 million and put $1 down on a house?
Well, it's not $1 down anymore. It's really zero. That's like an old terminology, but also it's not off of debt ratio. It's off of residual income.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, so you can actually go
So
higher.
give me an example.
Well, I mean, debt to income ratio, if it's over 50%, a lot of times you got these banks out here that are like, oh, I don't know, this is kind of getting to be a high risk. They don't really go off that. They look and see if the veteran has enough money left over on their monthly expenses to be able to afford that home. So it's something that is really a benefit to the VA buyer. Everybody thinks it's guaranteed and that they don't have to pay it back. They actually do through their eligibility. It's like, I got a free loan. I'm getting, everything's great. Yeah. It's not the case. I mean, you still have to pay the VA department or the VA back itself,
Wait, let me get this straight.
Yes.
If you give me $400,000, you want it back?
Well, that's the thing, and that's what people don't understand. So let me explain. FHA and VA are businesses, right? So that's why they have the funding fee. That's why they have the upfront mortgage insurance premium. It's because they're trying to collect as well. Yeah. So I mean, you come into it, and it is a guarantee, but that doesn't mean they're guaranteeing against the house. They're guaranteeing against the veteran that the veteran's going to make their payments.
You know what I like about this new program is because I think it was about a year ago, we had a client. She was buying a $1.2 million home, and with the guidelines, she had to come up with the additional 25% on top of that. Yeah. And she was kind of restricted based upon what she could buy. But now there's no longer that guidelines. That really helped her out, and she can go back into the marketplace. So
I think the changes are always going to be benefiting the veteran, trying to help them get into a home. This was all put in place in 1944. Yeah. That's how long it's been. And so they've made changes after changes to really keep helping veterans get into a loan. We got a caller on line one. I want to take him. We're going to talk to Tyrone here real quick. Tyrone, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
What's going on, buddy? How are you today? Thanks for calling in.
Hey, I'm good. Thank you. I watched a lot of the videos, and I just wanted to call you guys because I had a couple questions, but I'm looking maybe in a few years to move into a bigger home. And I watched some of the videos, and I just noticed that there's really, on some of these properties, there's not a lot of privacy. And in the backyard especially, you have people like basically looking over your house. But there doesn't be any trees or anything like that. So I'm just kind of wondering the price, sometimes $1 million or $600,000 or, you're not getting any privacy there. So what are your options? Can you get like a lot that has more privacy in like someplace like Summerlin, or are you just kind of restricted to being like right beside?
So if you're talking about New Summerlin, even with $1 million or $2 million, you're going to be in a newer community that's still going to have all these homes around you. Even if you have the biggest lot in there and you pay, say, $1 million lot premium, you're still going to have homes right next to you. Your best bet, if you want true privacy, is to go something a little bit older, right outside of Summerlin or Lone Mountain area, something that's going to give you some land. And you're getting a big house, you're getting some land, and you're not having anybody right next door to you. But if you're going to be in any particular HOA, it's just the way it's going to be.
Yeah. I think the other thing that you have to take a look at is the lifestyle out here in Las Vegas. It's not about having open land. It's about more convenience. It's about having things at your footsteps. So unfortunately, you're kind of living close to each other. But again, that's just the lifestyle out here. And I think that's what a lot of people have to overcome that are moving out here. And that's one of the challenges that I have with clients from out of state. Because you have people from the East Coast, they have open land, but you don't get that here. Can you get it here? Yes, you can. However, you're not going to be in those master plan communities, and that's why you have to see, am I going to get my 9 out of the 10, or am I going to get 8 out of 10 items? And you have to figure out what's most important to you.
When I first moved out here from Wisconsin, everything there is a minimum quarter acre.
Oh, wow.
I came out here and someone showed me 8,000 square foot lot, and they were like, "That's huge."
Wow.
That's what she said.
My eyes actually, she did. Anyways, so
Well, I think in Vegas too, in general, I mean, we don't have a lot of room as is, and if you're buying something new, they're trying to put all these properties in a concise area. I mean, there's only so much room to go around.
these builders are paying they're paying premium for this land, especially in Summerlin. They're paying.
Hey, T, what was your second question, man?
Oh well, I mean that's just that's primarily just it. I mean, I just wondering if there's any options that you could, even with additional money, get more privacy. Like, is it possible to say, hey, you know what, I want like a corner lot or something like that? But I guess not. I guess you're just kind of.
Even if you got that corner lot, you could have the biggest lot in the community, and it could be a corner lot, even slightly elevated above the rest of them. But you're still going to be right there next to somebody, even if they're, that's just unfortunately the way it is within the HOAs.
Now, however, you still have some options where you can buy a home with a big lot. But again, you're going to be limited to your options, and it just comes down to where do you want to be. So what you can also do is visit lvhomeexperts.com, and you can actually surf that site. And if your main focus is on lot size, if you just put in the description for the lot size, then you'll be able to see exactly what's going on. Or you can just reach on out to me or Brett, and we can set you up on a private search, and we can show you those properties. I mean, they do exist, but it just comes down to where you want to be.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for your help, guys.
Thank you so much for your call. Have a blessed day.
Yeah, so it was a pretty good question. So Summerlin's always going to be that premium. It seemed like all the callers want to talk about Summerlin, huh?
Yeah, I mean, every time we get a new buyer, that's the first place they look is Summerlin. But, I mean, there's so many other places other than Summerlin. I mean, you got to just look around.
Yeah. So let's talk about going back to VA buyers and just going through those questions about what you typically get. For me, it's always, what is the down payment requirement? Obviously, there's nothing. Also, can you get closing costs by the seller? You can. Can I give credit in some cases to help with closing costs? I can. So what we're really talking about here is veterans have the ability, I would say more than just the average, obviously, to get into a home. There's a lot more leniency. There's a lot more opportunity from an investor standpoint to help them get into a home. So some of the challenges and some of the things that you guys have gone through, what are the things that you guys go through with some of your clients on VA buyers? What's some of the questions that you first get asked?
I don't have problems with VA buyers. I just get them in the escrow. I'm just kidding.
Ding! Correct answer.
Now, here's the thing. With VA buyers, you have to understand that right now in today's market for VA buyers, that's only about 19% of the closings in today's market. But if you take a look at the homes that are currently available, not all homes are qualified for VA financing. So when you go out and you look at a home, you need to make sure you're working with the right agent, because here's the thing. You don't want to go under contract knowing that this home will not meet VA financing. And the last thing you want to do is go under contract, spend the money on the home inspection, on the appraisal, knowing that it won't appraise or it won't even meet VA financing. And that's where you have to work with somebody that really understands the terms and the conditions on VA. Not only that, when you're working with a listing agent, some listing agents may not accept VA because they're not comfortable with VA financing. But if you can get in there and educate the listing agent and help them walk them through the process, your deal is a lot easier than conventional or even FHA buyers.
Big misconception.
Yeah, big time.
Okay. Let me tell you, I can't tell you how many times I've had people where we only accept conventional loans. Okay.
Like, come on, bro.
Yeah,
Stop playing.
veterans are probably as qualified, if not more qualified, than most buyers out there.
Yeah.
And so there's a misconception that they take longer.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, well, why does this happen? Why is it taking so long?
And here's the thing, too. VA buyers are the most solid buyers you'll come across.
Yeah.
They're super easy to work with, solid. You ask them for something to be signed and documents sent over, no questions asked, just signed, sent over.
Well, it also comes down to the lender that you're working with, too, as well. If the lender preps you and gets you, approved through the underwriting department, which all lenders should, instead of sending you through desktop underwriting and say, hey, you're approved, go shopping. The real way to do it is to work with the lender that sends you through the underwriting. So that way you know that, hey, you know what, we cross our T's or dot our I's. This letter of approval is solid. So now when we're submitting an offer, you can submit an offer with 4 things here: pre-qual, pre-approval, conditional approval, underwritten approval. If you can get that underwritten approval, that lets you know that you are a strong buyer. And these are the techniques that we use and strategize on our side to get our offer accepted. However, there's certain things that the seller has to pay for as far as like the pest inspection. So that just tells me if I ever get an offer, right, from another VA buyer, I can tell if that agent is seasoned or not just by requesting that alone.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so
absolutely.
No, you're right. And the misconception is that it takes longer for veterans, and you pretty much answered that question. It's basically up to the lender. The lender's the one that has to prep, has to prepare, has to make sure that they're getting the things from the VA department to make sure that that's going through smooth. The other thing you get is the VA appraiser or the appraisal itself takes longer, and it does. But if you're ordering it right away when you come in,
that's the key.
That's it.
That's the key.
There's
right
nothing
there,
else.
The appraisal right away.
Everything else from that starting point, every loan is exactly the same. So if you just do those things, go to the underwriter, get it up front, get the appraisal done, and then you work with the VA department, getting that eligibility and all these things up front, you're not going to have an issue. So these people that are out there, or these sellers that are getting coached by their selling agents that, don't choose VA buyers, I think that's just wrong. I don't think that's right that they do that, because you see it all the time. I see it all the time.
I think they're just worried about the VA guidelines. I mean, the VA guidelines are strict. However, if you have a property that's pretty much move-in ready and it has everything that meets VA guidelines, you're not going to have that problem. The only issue that I would have with VA guidelines is that the appraisal process takes a little bit longer because there's not that many certified appraisers out there that specialize in VA financing.
I think also, though, that agents don't understand it.
Yeah.
There is layers to this that it is a little bit more detailed. You have a lot more to consider, a little bit more than just the average loan. But at the end of the day, I tell you, it's just because I think people think it's foreign to them and they just don't want to take that offer, or they just don't understand how it all works.
So as a VA buyer, what does the buyer need to initiate the process?
So there's always, do they have credit? Leniency on credit, 620 or higher for me. You can even go down to a 580 if you wanted to, but I like the 620 or higher.
Why is that?
It's just because when you go to 580, there's added restrictions.
Gotcha.
Usually it takes longer to close. Usually it's like one investor that's like willing to take that risk. And also people think, well, VA and FHA, they're not governed, or they're not restricted on their credit score, which they are. Not as hard as conventional loans. But they are restrictive, and so what I'm saying is at 620, it opens up all bank options. So now I could really survey and find the best opportunity for you on interest rate. It's going to make the transaction a little bit smoother. Everything's just going to be a little bit better.
That sounds good.
Yeah. So, and then that's really one thing. The other thing is they also need to have closing costs. Now, a lot of people want to come in. We have people all the time that come in.
What is that, closing costs?
Well, closing costs are what the loan, or actually what the cost of the loan is, for three things. Okay. You're not being charged for this, but it's your impounds, which is taxes and insurance they put into an escrow account. The other part of it, that's one part. The second part is the total loan fees, so whatever the lender's charging you. And then the third thing is whatever title company is being chosen, which a lot of times it's the seller agent that's choosing this. Now, you as a buyer out there, you can pick whatever title company you want. And so those three things all accumulate roughly about 2.5% of whatever the loan amount is. That's usually what your closing fees are.
So think about this. If you're buying a home at $200,000, your total closing cost would be $5,000. Now, if you took that $5,000, you asked the seller to pay for it. So what does that mean? You come zero out of pocket. Yeah,
and that's right. And so veterans out there, if you're listening to this, you want to get a hold of us outside of studio. LVHomeExperts.com. Chuck took it right out of my mouth. Stay tuned. Another half hour, we're going to talk with Brett here. We're going to talk with Chakits again. We're going to talk a little bit more about VA buyers, also what's going on in the housing market. So you guys stay tuned for the second part of this show. And welcome back. This is Dan French here with LV Home Experts, the show. I'm in studio with Chakits Krulsawat, Cash Flow.
Cash Flow. Y'all want to check out
Simply
that merch?
Vegas. Also with Brett Jenny.
Yeah.
What up? All right, guys. So let's talk about VA buyers, and we're talking about the housing market, some of the challenges. I talk a lot about people that call in about VA buyers, and I'll call me to talk to me about VA buying. And a lot of people are out of state. A lot of people are always calling in, and there's nothing wrong with it. But there's always people that are, I got a great credit score, I got a great job, but what I don't have is I don't have money for closing costs. And so I can definitely help with that. I know you as a real estate agent can negotiate seller closing costs, but the biggest thing I get is this. So a lot of out-of-state people want to move to Vegas, and the biggest challenge that they have is they're trying to move here, or they're trying to stay in California working with the same job, but then move here and not have a job set up. And really, and I understand they want to use their VA, and they're like, hey, I want to go buy a house, and I'm going to move there in a few months or whatever it is.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's still a second home because you got to be here present unless your job tells you that you don't have to be present in the state that you work. So I think I get that a lot with veterans and people in general. You know, a lot of times they have transfer orders. You know, so a lot of people that we work out of state, you got to get that transfer order. You got to get all your ducks in a row.
So it has to be a primary residence.
Well, that's what VA is.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, and the other thing too is people have a misconception that you can only get one VA loan when that's not true.
Oh, you can get two?
You can get two.
What about three?
But it's the eligibility.
Okay.
Whatever eligibility you have left over.
What does that mean?
So there's a certain percentage of eligibility that you get.
Yeah.
And if you buy one home and you use a portion of that, for instance, if you had $200,000 home that was in another state and use $50,000 of that eligibility, you can move to, another state or another area, but you only have so much eligibility left. Now you use $50,000.
So you have 150 left, basically.
No, not 150 exactly, but you just have eligibility. So let me give you an example.
Yep.
If you wanted to go buy a $350,000 home here, you might only qualify for 310.
Yeah.
Because now you have some of that eligibility tied up in another property.
Gotcha.
So it's just all about what the VA is giving you and where's your eligibility at. So anyways, going back to some of these questions, I know we're getting a lot of questions from
Fire it
people.
off.
Brett, you got a question over here?
So, question number one, where was it? So I just had it up too. Where was
Okay.
he?
We'll talk about that question you just told me, and we'll talk about the credit situation. With them, if they sell their house.
Yeah, so he basically said, I wonder if I sell a house, would your credit score go up because you no longer have a debt?
And it would over time, but everybody has to understand that you're still building credit by having those on-time payments. So you're looking at it like, okay, what if you had your house for 4 or 5 years? Now you've got a nice, strong trade line.
Yeah.
Okay. So you sell that house, boom. Now you got, 200,000, whatever it is, freed up in debt.
Yeah.
So right away, your score's going to drop, but overall it's going to go up. So in the very short interim, it's
That's
going to
weird. It drops, but then it goes back up.
Correct. Because now it's like, oh, boom. All of a sudden that strong payment history is gone. But then you look at it 7-8 months later, all of a sudden you're solid again.
If you guys have any questions regarding real estate or financing, go ahead and dial 702-257-5396. If you are just getting into the housing market, visit lvhomeexperts.com.
What other questions you guys have over there?
Yeah,
Brett?
another one says, how much do they usually ask for closing costs? So
Well, I think that's different because for the most part, it's 3%. I think that when you're doing a refinance, we just talked about that, it's a little bit less, obviously.
Yeah.
So I think when you look at it, it's usually 2.5% to 3%. And we went over what those three things are. It's your impounds, taxes and insurance. You got what the loan or whatever the loan company or the lender's charging you to do the loan.
And I think that's one of the most important things here. If you're a new buyer, you definitely want to shop the lender and ask for a lending estimate if they don't provide one.
Right.
And you want a worksheet fee because you want to see exactly what they are charging you, because some lenders out there could charge you origination fee, underwriting fee. So you have to take a look at the fees, and that's where you would start. Don't really be so focused on interest rate. It does play a part. However, you're never locked into an interest rate until you go under contract, right?
Well, for the most part, I mean, you can get into a new build and you can actually lock your rate in 6 months, even to a year out, which people don't understand that.
Yeah.
And there is a charged fee for this for the most part, but
who wants to pay for it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just like I have a refinance going on right now.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, can I pay my impound separate? You can, but the bank's going to charge you a fee and you don't get that money back.
Yeah.
So the bank's the one making money. Why do they do that? They do that because they want to take the risk out of your hands. They want to control, and that's what's happening. So can you pay your taxes and insurance separate? Absolutely. What other questions we got over here, guys?
Just another one was, how much is an acre of land in Henderson? And
That's a very good question. The last time I looked at it, I think an acre right now is going for about $380,000.
Wow.
So if you're planning on building a home, it probably doesn't make sense right now just due to the fact that you got to buy the land. Also, you have to check if sewers ran, electrical, all the utilities are ran, and that could be pretty pricey too, depending how far the utilities are.
Just to get the infrastructure to get it going.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what's going on right now too is I want to talk a little bit about this. We're talking about VA buyers, and there's a lot of VA streamlines. You know, a lot of people that are looking to refinance their home.
Yeah, there's a lot of refinancing.
lot of
It's
them.
crazy.
I'm going to tell you.
Matter of fact, if y'all want to refinance, call my dude now.
Lowest rates ever, right?
Well,
in American
since
history.
2012. And it's like, okay, so you're looking at it and you're like, well, how big is this going to be? And we're all just thinking, well, it's going to start to spike. Mortgage applications are going crazy right now for
They should be.
refinances.
I know.
I'm locking rates.
They
You know,
should be.
1.2.
Hey, why don't you have some free money? Just
we're
take it.
slanging loans over at Guarantee
Hey,
Rate.
slanging loans.
Yeah,
If
right.
you guys want
Rock
to get
the homes.
financing,
Slang and rock the
if you guys
homes.
want to get financing, go to lvhomeexperts.com. There's a drop-down menu on financing. That's how you're going to reach Dan. Financing is great right now. Rates are unbelievably
Rates are
crazy.
great, man.
I can't
You know,
believe it.
Coronavirus is really contributing to that. I want to say, you know, my company
Yeah.
has taken on, I believe this was the memo that came out, more refinance applications in this first quarter than we took all of last year.
Yeah, why wouldn't you? Rates
It's
are great.
crazy right now. So
Dude, I locked in at 3.2%.
I know it's
It
crazy.
gets no better than that.
So anyways, refinances are going on right now. VA buyers, if you're more than 210 days out of your first payment,
Yeah.
now's the time to look to refinance.
Is that the requirement?
That is the requirement.
One call, that's all.
That's it.
Can we patent that?
You like that one?
I don't think so.
No,
that dude
that-
man already do that? That journey?
yeah.
I don't know about that one.
Let's not plug him. Hey, let's
One
not,
call, that's all.
let's not plug him.
Yeah, good point.
But I'm telling you right now, it's funny because when you talk about people coming in, no appraisal,
Yeah.
right? And the big thing for everybody is how long does it take for the appraisal to get done on a VA loan?
Yeah.
No appraisal for that. So a lot of opportunity for that, guys. lvhomeexperts.com. Go there, check out Chuck's website. A lot of information there. So, you know, going through the process with these VA buyers, you know, I think a lot of people, we said, come from out of state. And we really want to kind of massage this VA situation because I think a lot of people, like we talk about, don't really know what's going on in Vegas. And I feel that with these new laws that have passed, you have a lot of opportunity for people that are in that $600,000, $700,000 range that they thought maybe they weren't in there. We got a couple people right now that we're working that are at that $600,000 or $700,000 price point, right, Chuck?
Yeah.
And they're all veterans and they're just out getting homes now. And usually, you know, the first question I got was, hey, when you approved me, this was approved last year because it's a new home build. Do we qualify for that new product or that program? I was like, absolutely. You know, now you have the ability where you don't have to put that money down. That's huge.
Hey, Brad, let me ask you this. Natasha says, what do you think about Henderson, the home value?
I saw that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it is going up.
Do you? Really? Why?
For the simple fact that people want to live in Henderson. It's ranked as one of the top places to live. Number two, jobs are booming like crazy.
Yeah.
And I don't see signs of anything slowing down. So as long as we have jobs that are coming here, the economy's still going well. How many people here are moving from Cali?
I don't know.
So Summerlin or
100,000.
Henderson, yeah.
It's 100,000 last year.
Yeah. So I think they are. Absolutely.
Well, let me ask you this. If you had to pick one, and this is for you personally,
Sure.
would you rather live in Summerlin or Henderson?
Summerlin.
What about you?
I live in Summerlin right now.
I would rather live in Henderson.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? Tell me why.
I'm going to tell you why. So Henderson has a more of established, not so bougie. You can feel like you could be a little bit more. No, it's true.
Oh, you're saying
could
I'm
be
a
little
snob,
bit,
Dan?
You could be a little bit more yourself, and you don't have to walk around thinking that, you know, it's still upper class. It's still very elegant, very quality. But I feel like, you know, when you're down there in Summerlin, it's like you're trying to live up with the Joneses a little bit.
I feel like Henderson has certain spots where Summerlin doesn't.
Yeah.
That's a good debate.
That is a good debate. That's a real good debate. Yeah.
So why do you like Summerlin?
I mean, it's well, personally, I do a lot of trail running, so I love that it's right next to Red Rock National Canyon.
No, that's a good point.
You know, and then once they completed downtown Summerlin,
see, he doesn't do any running.
Dan, you want to go out tomorrow morning? 5 a.m., bro.
I got some
sun
things.
go up.
I got some things going on tomorrow.
No,
It's called sleeping.
Sleeping's for suckers.
you gotta have some fun, guys. On the
Yeah,
radio.
of course. for me personally, I love that it's right next to Red Rock National Canyon. Once they completed downtown Summerlin, that really brought it together. They brought in the baseball stadium there.
Yeah.
The Golden Knights hockey facility is there. They completed up, Wolfgang Puck restaurants, really good shopping, family environment. They have movie nights for families on the weeks or weeknights. They have yoga, whatever it is. It's just it really brought that whole community together.
Yeah, I think Henderson, to me, though,
it's just beautiful aesthetically.
So I used to live right off of Eastern and like Horizon Ridge towards like St. Rose Parkway.
Yep.
You go down that area,
They're building like crazy, don't know.
Well, they're building like crazy. There's nothing that they don't have there.
Yeah.
Like I can literally like go from one shopping center to the next shop, and it's like everything you could think of. And I think that's maybe the reason why is because when I came out here from California, I'm a little biased probably because when I got there, I was like, man, they got everything here. You kind of put your roots in there, you know?
They do. And I mean, believe me, I've lived in Henderson as well. I've lived in Green Valley. I lived at the top of Anthem.
Yeah.
And the last 6 years and the funny thing is when I lived in Henderson, everybody was like, you need to move to Summerlin. You need to move to Summerlin. Summerlin. I was like, what? Well, what's so great about Summerlin? Whatever.
Right.
Because I liked being in Henderson.
Yeah.
And Henderson is just fine. But once I moved to Summerlin, that's it, man.
You know what? I'm going to rule
That's it,
this a
boy.
tie,
I'm good.
guys. It's a tie. Okay?
We got Steve online.
I don't like
one
the
more.
tie. I just want to win. So can we just do Summerlin?
Let's take Steve's call. Steve, are you there? Hello, Steve.
Yeah, how you doing? My name is... Go ahead.
What's that?
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I moved here from New Jersey 19 years ago. Bought a house in Henderson, and you couldn't pay me to move this. My value keeps going up and up and up. But I'll tell you what, the problem with Las Vegas and Summerlin is just Las Vegas. Remember that.
Yes,
Henderson,
it is.
It's his own city.
Good point.
It's a bigger city. It's older than Las Vegas, and the crime rate is lower.
Absolutely.
So the most break-ins of these home invasions are built into these cardboard homes that they build in Summerlin. So you can take all that fancy schmancy crap and stick it.
Absolutely, Steve. You know what? I'm
you
right
think
there.
there's more crime in Summerlin than in Henderson?
There sure is. Do the
Okay.
research.
No, I love it.
Home invasions are in Summerlin. And like I said, I have a lot of friends that live there, but you couldn't pay me to move out of my house in Henderson.
We will help you buy a home in Henderson, too. No problem.
Hey, Steve, real quick. You know, I was looking at something where Henderson was actually one of the safest cities in America. Is that right?
It is.
Well, the thing about it is the cops are a little tougher here, and you don't see a lot of vagrants walking up and down the streets and stuff.
Yeah.
Those
Every
are valid
place-
points.
Every place is like good street, bad street, all over southern Nevada.
Yeah.
So you could live in. I mean, I could tell you about some places in Summerlin, for these big fancy gated communities that are not really good spots if you know what's in them.
Right.
And that's what the problem with out here is. Nobody wants to be. You don't very rarely know.
Hello.
Now, here's the thing. He does make a good point, though. Henderson is a city, and Summerlin is just a master planned community.
I just had that discussion today with those buyers who are up from Cali. And, my point is this, which is Henderson's ranked higher than Summerlin because it's his own municipality, and Summerlin isn't. Summerlin's a community, so we include all of Las Vegas with the statistics.
Let's not get like this city rivalry here.
No, there's not.
Well,
Believe me,
you can't compare it because one's a master and one's a city.
Right. You're exactly right. That's the thing. They're two different comparables.
So he did make a good point. So I just
did.
wanted
He was right.
Steve made a very good point, and so looking at it, it's just preference. I think everybody's desirable situation.
Yeah.
What about North Las Vegas?
Here's the thing. I wouldn't move out there because my line of business, it's just too far. I live in central Las Vegas, so that allows me to access to get where I need to be because this is what I do for a living, right? I'm in a car and showing properties. However, my father-in-law lives out in north of Las Vegas in Aliante, and it's a beautiful place. However, they got to commute to work. So it just comes down to preference. You know what I mean?
Well, I think, too, like, is there opportunities for new homes, though? Is there some areas?
Oh, yeah. We got Tully Springs out there.
There's a stigma out there that the North Las Vegas is not,
no,
it's not the best.
I sell a lot of homes out there to military personnel that are fighter pilots.
Right.
And the reason why they're out there is because the VA hospital is right there, Nellis Air Force Base is right there, you have the 215. Everything out there is expanding and it's growing. Here's the thing. A lot of people will come out here and say, hey, I don't want to be in North Las Vegas. But as soon as you take them out there, they're like, oh man, I see what's going on out here.
Right.
So that's the thing. You have to come on out here and just not listen to the herd, right? You always want to go with the opposite of the herd.
Well, everybody's
right?
got their own
Yeah.
agenda.
I mean, what you want is different from what I want, is different from what you want. So get out here and let's show you
Everything.
the options.
You know,
you choose.
And a lot of people always ask us, like, well, where's the best place to live? Well, we could tell you where the hot spots are.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean it's
No,
going
we
to
can tell
fit.
you where the most expensive spots are.
And I do like.
I do Summerlin because I like the Red
The
Rock National
amenities and
Canyon
everything there,
amenities.
yes.
Yeah, so
Hey,
it fits me for what my lifestyle is and what I like.
Yeah.
I mean, there's-
Summerlin's great, and this is from me. It's not because I don't want to live there. I think I'm just more familiar with Henderson.
Yeah.
I like what's there. And
I
I've been-
totally get it.
Yeah,
You know,
and
believe
so
me.
it's fine. It is what it is. But Summerlin's nice. There's nice places out there. So I think for overall, what people want to know is they always give us those. Where's the locations?
Sure.
You know, where's those secret spots that And I don't think there is any. I think you kind of get everything online. You know exactly what's there, and then it's about preference. And then if you're buying
That's
a new home,
what it comes down to, preference.
yeah, it's about what you're willing to or what you want.
Yeah.
And that's why people go to new home.
Let me ask you this. Was actually Kevin is asking you this question. Do you think rates will actually drop again?
That's a good question, and that is the big question. It's
Yeah.
the elephant in the room, I think, for everybody. I do think if geopolitical news keeps suffering,
Yeah.
I think that if inflation and some of these reports with the labor market and things happen, yes, it could. Now, do I see signs where we see stabilization? I do. Okay. Even though we have these outbreaks and things going on, there is some things going on in China. Also here, we've had some people obviously, suffer from this and we've had some casualties, but at the end of the day, it's not going in a rapid pace. Somewhat have it contained in China, and it's not been exploding here at this time. So at this time, I don't think they're going to go lower until we kind of see what's going to happen with this virus and also with some of the news that's coming out next week.
Well, that's nice, though, if the rates do drop, because now you're
If they do.
qualified for more money.
Well, I could tell you this. I don't think they're going to spike up. It's probably, volatility like it's been. It's already low. We haven't seen lows like this since 2012. So the chances of it happening, I don't know. It's 50-50. Do I see it maybe stabilizing more than it going down? Probably for just a short interim, yes.
Now, if you have any questions regarding financing or real estate and you want to call in the show today live, 702-257-5396. If you are interested in purchasing a home and want to get your home search started, visit lvhomeexperts.com.
I like the merch.
You like the merch?
I like the merch. You go
Thank
onto your channel and other things, you're selling that merch quite frequently, right?
Yeah, of course. You got to support the cause, man. This is for all the fans out there.
I think people really start to gravitate.
Yeah.
I'm not here to try to say anything, but there's a lot of people, man, that watch you or
Really?
have known about you for a couple of years, so.
I wonder why.
Well, I think it's just you put out a good product, man, but I think it's just a good thing, and I think you got a good thing going on with this merch. I was looking at it right now with this cash flow.
Yeah, that's right.
So we're going back to VA buyers. Let's talk about it. So, Brett, I know you go through a lot of processes with some of your clients. Do you remember anything that stands out as far as some clients recently that maybe you just took them out and, maybe they had some issues or maybe they had some questions that you're starting to get a lot of? We try to answer questions on this show that are consistently or starting to be consistently a topic. So is there something out there that you
Just why aren't there that many homes on the market? Why, when I put in an offer, are there 5 or 6 offers?
Yeah, and why is that, Chuck?
Well, because you have to understand, you have almost 10,000 people moving to Las Vegas every single month. It's crazy. Again, we talked about this all the time. If you take a look throughout the whole nation right now, where's the cheapest place to live? Las Vegas is one of those places because, number one, you save 10% on taxes, right?
Right.
The other thing is that the climate, right, and the convenience. This is like the entertainment capital of the world. You can get any food ethnic group that you can think about. Everything is at your footsteps. And this is one of the cities that is not broke.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of people move outside or come from another state, and they're looking for opportunity to reposition.
Yeah.
Happens all the time. Californians are notorious for it. I'm a Californian. I came here for a better opportunity.
And this is one of those places where you can come with a high school education and work your way up. Hard work pays off.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And you can be somebody out here.
So what is that average price point? Is that consistently going up for people out here? Because we talk about the 367, and that's $367,000 purchase.
Well, the median price point is $315. The average sales right now is about $367. So we've already met the range of 2008, right? So we've already hit that peak.
Yep.
So keep that in mind. Challenges out there are pretty rough right now. I'm showing $3 million homes, multiple offers. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, that's crazy. You know what? But there's a lot of high-end people that are coming here buying cash.
Yeah.
You know, and I think
Because that $3 million house here is $10 million in Cali.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
No, it's great.
No,
It's
you're
true.
absolutely right. Yeah,
It's absolutely true.
It's what you can get out here. It's unbelievable.
I was showing a $450,000 condo today in Summerlin, and the buyers were like, this would be $2 million plus.
You talked about a lot about,
Cali.
and I'm not trying to stereotype, but I just kind of want to, brush over this. You said that people that are in a price point just know what they want and they go after it.
Yeah.
And they go after it like a hawk.
Yes.
And I think that's the difference. When you have the ability to have options and it's not going to make it or break it for that situation, or you're somebody out there that's just happy to get in home, we can accommodate both.
Yeah.
But those clients that are just know exactly what they want, they know exactly where they're going to be and what they're trying to.
Sometimes clients are just bought out the market. Sometimes clients can be picked out at the 315 range, but they want the Taj Mahal. We can't give you that. You're bought out of the market. If you're not willing to get the 6 out of 10, then you know what? Maybe now's not the time for you to buy.
Well, and so veterans out there and people out there that are going for a loan, they might think, well, it's going to be hard. It's going to be a challenge, right? Because you got 5 or 6 offers, but it really comes down to negotiation. Everybody that's out there that's a veteran, they all have equal opportunity, and we're just trying to let you guys know out there, if you're out there, take a look at this opportunity, because Chuck's very good with the negotiation skills, but they do have that opportunity to get an offer accepted. They usually come in a little bit stronger. A lot of times they overcome a lot of, people that come in with cash. They're always wanting to try to get that deal.
Cash doesn't mean anything in today's market. I want to elaborate on this, okay? Cash right now is only 20% of the market. If you look at FHA and VA, it's about 40% in today's market. So what that tells you is that these FHA buyers and VA buyers are beating out cash offers. And the reason why is because it's not about always getting more money. It's about how you write up the contract. Is it a clean contract? Because at the end of the day, the seller wants to get the deal done. They don't want to tie up their property on the market for 35 days. Come to find out they can't get the deal done.
Got any more questions over there, Brett?
Yeah, he's got a lot.
You're looking in that.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to answer these.
Now he's on Facebook.
No, I'm on YouTube trying to answer the.
What's the question?
Yeah, what's the question you got?
You got a question for us?
Yeah.
Dead air.
Is Vegas going to be the new Cali in 2 years? And I was answering him. It already is.
You know what?
It's coming close. I mean,
35%
last year.
Yeah, but I don't think it's going to have the same bad regulations.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
Vegas seems like it does take care of its own, and
not with the rules and regulations, just as far as people moving here, people wanting to move here to desire.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But we better not be bringing.
Hey, Dan, I got a question for you. When are you predicting the recession? Well, you can't predict it. Come on.
That's kind of a hard question. I think it's like this. A lot of people know what derivatives are.
Yeah.
I think that it's not going to be because if we ever had a recession, it's not going to be because of the loans that are being written and the banks and how all these people are in bad loans like it was before. I think it's going to be a stock market. It's going to be a bond market. And it's also going to be a housing market. We're all connected. So I think all of these things are going to they would tumble over. There would be an issue in every single category of that. And I think that's what's going to contribute to potentially going to the next recession.
I just lost my train of thought.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I forgot what we were talking about.
I'm sorry, I
was trying to pull Wolf Blitzer over here.
Oh, gotcha. You kind of sound like him. You do have a good radio voice, though. Hey, what does that hat say on there, man? Send it.
Send it. Those applications. Just send it.
Is that what that really is?
That's right.
That's a pretty hot hat, dude.
Yeah. Go to LV Home Experts and send it.
Yeah, send it. Send it on over. He'll get you approved.
The new merch collection from Trucking.
That's right.
Also, he's got the French workbench. Let's talk about that. What is it?
So let me talk about this here for a second.
Serious.
So anyways, I'm putting together a podcast. And it's not just
working out really great.
Yeah, we've had a lot of people listen to it because it has a lot of stuff pertaining to the details.
Yeah.
Besides this radio show, I mean, there's stuff on there with the radio, but it's details that people frequently ask. It's frequently asked questions.
Yeah.
And so you can go check me out on iTunes on that. And it's also on SoundCloud, but I put it on iTunes, so we got an iTunes podcast.
And
You're
also
on there.
make sure you got to thumb that up too, right? So that way you can get a high algorithm.
You could
as
thumb
well.
it up. I mean, the thing is you gotta. I think people want to kind of gravitate to it,
Yeah.
so they want to kind of dip into some of this. I mean, it might not be for everybody, but if you're in the market to get a loan,
Yeah.
or in a market to maybe buy a home or try to get information from this radio show,
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, that's probably the best start for getting into somewhere here, especially if you're out of state. You just want to know what's going on with the market.
Okay.
That's a good starting point.
Okay, cool.
So, but I know we talk a lot about, what veterans are doing and how they're really in the market. You said 19% of what veterans are. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
Closings.
So why is that not more? I'm confused.
Well, probably because there's probably not that many vets out there.
Well, there is. I just don't know if, I've actually had some people where they're not educated on it, or they ask a lot of questions and maybe they feel like it's not an opportunity. So if you're a veteran out there, take advantage of this. I mean, if I was a veteran, I would be taking advantage
Absolutely.
of it. And I think
Absolutely.
rates are the best. The process is no different than any other process as long as you got a good loan officer. $1 million with no down payment. They didn't have a down payment before, but to go up to $1 million with no down payment, that's something to look at.
That saves you some money, right?
Right. I mean, that's big. So what are you looking at, Chuck? You're pretty serious.
What type of buyers do you What type of buyers do you see that are buying $1 million homes? So just to answer that question, a lot of my clients are probably at the age of 40 and below. It's a lot of young money, new money, and I think the reason
Really?
why is because a lot of these people that I'm selling these type of homes to, they have their own businesses or they do a lot of online businesses,
Right.
and they're in the tech business.
Got it. So are you dealing with the same thing?
Yeah, same thing.
Young money.
Yeah, young money. I mean, even the buyers from this morning, they're up. That guy's approved up to 1.2, and I think he does.
No, I was just going to say, go ahead.
He does supplements,
Okay.
like health supplements.
We'll be back next week, 6 to 7, every Saturday. You guys have any questions, visit lvhomeexperts.com. That's where you can reach us. And from Chuck, it's Krulsawat from Simply Vegas, Brett Jenny from Simply Vegas, and Dan French from Guarantee Rate. We'll talk to you next week.